this is our second one, I'm voting for just one bye week or no bye weeks. You know, just for the sake of just keeping things going. But no, appreciate it. I just wanted to give you a little bit of heads up where we're at. Obviously, you know, you're 6-4. Our guys are going out there, and we got some things to, I guess, look at and correct as we go back. This is a week to do that, just like the first week was, and just to reevaluate where we're at as a team. And obviously, we got some, you know, 2 more games over here to play the regular season, and we're looking forward to that. And obviously, getting into a bowl bid as possible. But you know, I'll leave it up to some questions if you guys like to ask.
Chad.
Hey, Phil, Chad Lyson for the One Register. Looking ahead to Maryland quick, how big an advantage is it for them to have a coach that's seen your defense for 12 years, probably knows what the weak spots are? Is that, do you feel like that's could be a big advantage, and how do you kind of combat against that?
Well, I think if you look at it, obviously he knows us pretty well. Probably knows the signals and everything too. But I think, you know, you go back in the system that we've been in for almost, you know, since I've been here and since 1999, there's variations of things that we've done. You know, since I've taken over, and I think it's 2012, things have changed. Football has changed. Our players have changed. So really, when it comes down to it, I don't know who has the advantage or disadvantage in that case. Obviously, I think our guys it would be a heck of a challenge just to go out to the East Coast and play a very good football team as you see that as they competed against Oregon last week. You know, so that's the challenge, is to make sure we can get our guys playing at a high level and getting ready for them guys. That's our next challenge.
Elliot.
Hey Phil, Elliot Clough, Hawkeye Beacon. I just was curious about Jay Higgins' status, if you expect him to be back against Maryland, and then what do you think of Jaden Harrell and his relief of Jay when Jay was sidelined?
Yeah, I don't know enough about the injury stuff over there. I bumped into Jay, and you know, he's always seemed like he's ready to roll anyway. So I can't tell the difference, and I'm not really have any idea where he's at. I'm just making sure he has his time off and gets some free time to himself. But I'm sure if he can go, he'll go. You know, and that's a pleasure. Harold, now I think he went in there. You know, you could sit there and say, you got a kid coming in mid-game. You know, that's a little bit tough. You know, you're not the guy. I thought he went in and did a pretty good job in there. You know, there might have been one time he didn't set the front right, you know, right away, but I'm sure that was nervous. Or, you know, the ball's in the middle of the field, anybody could make that mistake. And I don't really think it was a mistake. I just think other guys have to adjust to it. And I thought he did a really good job of going out there, gotten in the right defenses and in the right spot, and I thought he played physical, you know, and he did a good job for us to carry us through.
Scott.
Scott Document with The Athletic. The 3 straight road games, you guys have allowed 200 plus rushing yards, and I know that's one of your principal tenets is to shut down the running game. Is there a reason, or is there some sort of underlying factor that's really allowed that to happen? And if so, in what ways are you guys trying to keep that from happening?
Yeah, obviously, the opponents that you're playing, you know, they look at film too, and they're trying to attack you in different ways. But you know, whether you say it's because we're on the road that we're giving up that much, is that was the question?
It's just the way,
the way it turns out. I wouldn't say just because it's on the road. I think it has to do with the guys playing, and whether it's, you know, being in the right spot, making the plays that you have to make, or not making the plays. That's what it comes down to. You know, we have 8 returning starting guys coming back this year. Everybody thinks that you're going to be just as good as you were last year, and you guys don't understand that. Every day you go out there, it's a challenge, okay? And you have to earn everything you get. And I think that we'll keep on striving and we keep on pushing these guys to be the best they can be every day. And I think that's what they're looking forward to. And we're looking forward to the next 2 games. Obviously, Maryland's the next one. And we're focused on how can we improve where we're at now until the game time. That's really what we're focused on.
Tom
Caker, Hawkeye Report. Phil, wanted to ask you about the corner position opposite Jamari. You've had various different starters there. How would you assess that position right now?
Yeah, I think there's, you know, these guys are competing very hard for it, you know, between Deshaun Lee, TJ Hall. You know, obviously Nestor's been out for at least a week or something, but I think there's some other guys we put in dime situation as a freshman. Brought someone in, and I think he did a decent job, you know what I mean? But I think there's, you know, obviously everybody, it goes with everything. When you're sitting there, you're looking at it, that might be one position that, you know, there's some opportunities that some guys can take care of.
Tyler.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. It seemed like the Michigan State game, the UCLA game, there was issues tackling. Just curious what your diagnosis of that was.
Well, you know, football's a tough game, and when you go out there, it's all about angles and the angles that you take, and are you taking the proper angles to it. And you could see sometimes we were probably maybe a little bit anxious at the Michigan State game over running plays, and them guys cutting it back, and then, you know, it's going back to the basic fundamentals of football. It's you know, obviously tackle the guy with the ball, but it's how you go about it and how you leveraging the ball. And that goes with all 11 guys, you know, with the front guys, the outside, you know, the backers, and the secondary. Are we all taking the same proper angles that we need to take to make sure the ball is being leveraged properly? And, you know, we talk about it all the time, and we're coaching it all the time. And obviously our guys are trying to work on that. Every day they go out there, every time there's a play, it's a pursuit drill. And that's what we do. You got to run the ball, making sure you're in the proper position, and you got your feet up underneath you, you got your eyes where they need to be, and your body position where you need to be at.
John.
John Seppi, Gazette. Hi, Phil. Was curious your thoughts, kind of overall evaluating the pass rush now through 10 games.
Well, obviously, you know, give an example of last week. We have more guys, you know, chipping the tight ends, chipping the defensive ends now. The backs coming out of the backfield, chipping a little bit. So it's taking a little bit off of our pass rush a little bit. So I understand that, and I see why guys are doing it. It might give them an extra 1 or 2 extra seconds to get the ball off. So, you know, we'll keep on working on it. I think Kelvin does a great job, and Jay, and we'll get back to where we need to be. And not saying that it's been terrible, but it's, you know, obviously when those guys play well up front, you know, we do well overall.
Blake.
Blake Hornstein, okay, headquarters. Phil, thanks for your time. I wanted to ask you about Jay Higgins from an intangible perspective. Seems like a guy, when we talk to him, he'll take ownership. If there was a breakdown in the defense, he'll put it on himself. And I just wanted to ask you how that stuff kind of resonates in the locker room. Seems like he's a guy that people tend to follow. And while that can be a prerequisite for a middle linebacker, it seems like he's just one of those guys that people are drawn to and want to follow.
Yeah, it's contagious, you know, of how he goes about his business. You know, it's important to him as a football player, and just a lot of guys. I mean, he prepares. He wants to know what he has to be doing, and we expect a lot out of him, and that's his job, you know, to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And so I think he's always been, you know, critical maybe of himself sometimes too much, but he's been a great asset for us in the way he prepares and takes this game the way you're supposed to take the game.
Chad.
Chad likes to go again.